Hello, Nick here, and it's time to talk about our reflection video number 2. And in this video, I wanted to go over questions and talk about chapters 1 and 8. So I'm going to do that now. So the first question I have here is, what is Adam Grant's definition of originality? Do I agree with it? Why not? I agree. Okay, I'm going to read out the definitions from page 3. The adjective definition of original is the origin or source of something from which something springs, proceeds, or is derived. And the noun definition is original, a thing of singular or unique character, a person who is different from other people in an appealing or interesting way, a person of fresh initiative or inventive capacity. Now, I 100% agree with the adjective definition. I think it's very objective and it's very straightforward and it's true. But I don't agree with the noun version. I half agree with it. I think it's true. I think there's truth in having to be unique or having a singular character and being different. But the tone of this definition seems to only apply to people who make positive change, who do good. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think you can be original and be bad. Like Pablo Escobar, for example. I'll give you a little example. Big drug lord from Colombia, and in Medellin, when he was starting out, he actually founded a taxi company, and he used that as his front for his cocaine business, because taxis are a huge thing in Colombia. He was already an influential person, so he started this taxi company, and he used that to cover up his business. And I thought that was a pretty original plan. It's something that isn't questioned just because taxis are huge in Colombia. So it did get suspicious when he was making millions and millions of dollars with only 4 taxis in his fleet, which is how many he had. But I thought that was a very unique and original way to sort of analyze the situation he was in, the context of the country, and how he was going to make his money and not get in trouble for it. So next question. What does Adam Grant mean by we live in an Internet Explorer world? So Adam Grant was talking about a study that researchers found in which employees who use Chrome and Firefox tended to retain their jobs and be more successful than people who use the preset browsers, Internet Explorer and Safari. And that's because it's all about settling. He found that people with superior browsers such as Chrome and Firefox, you have to go out of your way and it's not hard. You just go out of your way, you find it online, you download it, and then you use it. But the fact that you have to go out of your way to find these superior browsers is what differentiate these people from the others that simply just use the presets on the computer. They just use Internet Explorer and Safari. They're not as good, but they were willing to settle with the inferior browser. And that's what he means. He's saying, and the studies found that a lot of people, the majority, wanted to use these. They ended up settling with these inferior browsers. So he means that living in an Internet Explorer world means you're living in a world where you settle for less. So next question. According to Adam Grant, originality does not require extreme risk-taking. It's a myth. I definitely agree with that. I don't think you need to take crazy balls-to-the-wall risks in anything and everything that you do to be successful, to be original. I think it's more important to be cautious and conservative and playing your cards right. He talks about the Warby Parker founders and how they played it, and how he actually thought that you needed to be balls to the wall with it. But in fact, it's them being conservative and risk averse is what made them successful. Instead of putting everything in Warby Parker, they had jobs lined up. They were studying. They didn't drop out. They were very cautious and risk averse in one area of their life, so that they can invest themselves more and have more security in the other part of their life, which was this business. And since they were able to do that, they made a successful business. So I think it's true. It's definitely a myth. So now let's talk about chapter 8. And another question I have here is, if I want to modify people's behavior, is it better to highlight the benefits or of changing the costs? the benefits of changing or the cost of not changing. And I would say to that, it's better to highlight the cost of not changing, the consequences, because, well, for example, I'm going to use the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert example from the book in page 231. Someone named Popovic and his group of revolutionaries organized a concert in a square in Serbia for the New Year's, and they invited local bands and the Red Hot Chili Peppers to play. But when the clock struck midnight, Red Hot Chili Peppers did not come out. In fact, but instead, a psychologist came out and instead talked about how they didn't deserve such a celebration because the Serbian people weren't doing anything to change. They were instead just celebrating. They had no reason to celebrate. And after that, he had thousands of new people signed up to join Popovic's rebellion group. So I think it's much more effective to highlight the cost of not changing, because showing all those people who went to the square, not changing, having no reason to celebrate, is what inspired them to come out. And the next question would be to talk about Popovic's story, and a little more on that is he instead of a conventional military group, he formed this online following, and using branding and everything, he was able to anonymously, sort of, kind of and that reminds me of Anonymous, to unite everyone, to unite people that follow his beliefs, to help overthrow, to help vote out the current dictator. And this Red Hot Chili Peppers example was an example of something that he did. What's indicative of his emotional intelligence was that he was able to understand that people aren't willing to put themselves out there at risk of getting killed by the government or something like that. He knew that by having people together, uniting one big force under a symbol, he was able to make big change. So that shows the impact of his emotional intelligence, that he was able to unify people under an ambiguous symbol and unite. So that is my reflection video number 2. Thank you.